go. Stinky dog. You're a stinky dog. You need a bath. Yeah, you need a bath. Give you a bath. You don't have a bath. Alright, let me go get my charger. I'm gonna let a few more people join. See that bid shares play? Did you guys, anybody get into bid shares earlier? You saw I posted that this morning, right? I said new bid shares entry. And look how perfect it was. That was right when I posted that. It was right when it was up here, just above the EMAs. And I saw the Ichima play in action. So, sure enough, never bounced back down. We had triple, 3 out of 4 dynamic supports. EMA, Ichimoku leading span B on the bottom. Triple dynamic support action. Didn't dip down for a split second between any of them, not even a wick of a candle, only hourly. And now I'm up 5%. So I could pretty much move up my stop losses pretty soon, but I'm not going to. Oh, you know what I'm going to do, actually? I'm going to move my stop loss up to my entry below the EMAs because they've been holding up so strong. So I'll move my, I'm going to move my stop loss up essentially to like right over here. So it's below the bottom of the Ichi cloud. So it's essentially going to be a risk-free trade because I'll have like 0.5% risk if I even do that. I might just move it up full on to my entry, which is at, 1,640. Plus, it might still go up a little more anyway, on this candle. We have additional support from the top of the cloud now with leading span A, so we'll have to see how that plays out, but it's really bullish. We're going to get diverging EMAs in a second. They're going to start moving away from each other as the 55 pulls away. Start moving. It's going to move up at a faster clip than the 99, so it's going to pick up speed. Finish 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we correct back down with like an ABC. my favorite target, I'm back on my computer now, is wave 4, which you're going to see is right here. Everything about this chart is perfect for teaching, so make a note of it if you guys would like. And if you want to ask questions about it, but this is a perfect teaching chart, and this is why. All right, everybody here, we have enough people. I'll get started on that, explain that. We got 10 people, 11 people. All right, so whoever the 11th person that just came in is, there's 12 people in the voice channel, but only 11 people in the stream. Oh, because I'm one of the voice channel. Okay, so everybody who's in the voice call then is in the live stream. All right, well, let me explain that really quick then. This is a perfect example to teach with, almost. There's one minor issue with it, which is this wick, which I'm going to cheat a little bit and pretend like it doesn't go down any further than that. So for newer people who haven't heard me explain that before, there are people who are like Elliott wave traders, Elliott wave purists, who will read the textbook and say like, no, one of the major rules, you can't have wave 2 retrace into wave 1, but if it's like one trade at 1590, but all of the trading was happening up here, but then one guy happened to sell his BTS for just a little bit cheaper, that it completely invalidates an otherwise perfect example of technical analysis, you bet your ass I'm going to ignore that little bit of trading. So that's just the way it is. If people don't like that, they don't have to use my methods. But so technically speaking, this would have to be wave 1 here, which I could still do. It's just not as clean as having it here. But you know what? Just to make it perfect, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make wave 1 here. Instead of here to 2 to 3, which is technically wrong. Again, I'm going to count it this way, which is perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, there's a couple reasons why this is a perfect teaching example. One, it's a perfect Elliott wave example, right? So I was going to do kind of like this. 1, 2, and then, but whatever. I just drew it this way because now it is perfect and it doesn't violate any rules, not even a tiny bit. So this is one reason why it's a perfect example to teach with. It's an excellent Elliott wave count. Looking at it, I can also tell you that it's going to be a perfect example for Fibonacci. So if we do a fib extension, this wave 3, I will bet a substantial amount of money that this 3 is pretty much exactly at a 1618 extension of wave 1. It might be a tiny bit short. It's going to be maybe like 618 will be out here. Let me draw it. The 1618 line might be a little bit above, like right there, but let's see. Yeah, so it's a little bit above. It's a little short, but by doing that, wish somebody picked that up earlier. Was it working earlier? Somebody's got a loop going. All right, that's better. Does anybody know if the YouTube audio was working before? And it went out like halfway through because I hit the button by mistake, or has it been off since the beginning? Does anybody know?
It was on to begin with.
It was? Okay, so.
Because there was a bit of an echo. If you have on Discord.
Exactly, yeah. I just wanted to know. I didn't know if it started off or if I just turned it off, at some point. Okay, so.
No, it was good.
All right. Well, if anybody watches this later, all you missed, I was going over this BTS play, explaining how perfect the dynamic supports with my Ichima model, where we had both EMAs and the bottom of the Ichi Cloud all in the same spot, and the 99 EMA, the blue one, ended up holding us up. It didn't give in at all. It held perfectly on 4 or 5 different candles, and then we bounced up right off of the support. It did exactly what my model predicts it's going to do. It was a perfect example of Ichima in action with the 55 and 99 EMA. It's also a good example of an Elliott wave count, and we're pretty much maxed out. We're going to have to correct any second. This is the top. We already did top out pretty much because this resistance is a triple top, including these 2 before, and then additional this reversal pattern from prior to that from last week. So this is a really good example as a demo of all my different strategies and everything. This is kind of like a perfect setup. Now I got to move my stop loss up. I'm not in a rush to do it really because it's not coming down. Now, I'm not, so a lot of the time, a lot of people recently have been saying that they're getting stopped out too early, or like, oh, I got stopped out, did you? And I keep saying no, and they say, why? How come I got stopped out and you didn't? Because I didn't move my stops up yet. I'm not that eager to do it. I want to get to the point where I'm risk-free, and then I don't want to get stopped out prematurely. I know that they're going to correct, and I know roughly how far they're going to correct. So in this case, it's possible that we're going to correct back down to the EMAs. And there's not that much space right now above this bottom support from before. There's not that much space at this point where I really have any level of confidence that it would bounce anywhere higher. Hold on. So, yeah, at this point, I want to be completely risk-free, so I'll move my stop loss up to my entry. But beyond that, this whole area here, it's only like 5%. So I'm just going to leave that in play and see where we correct to. I don't want to move it up to here and then have us correct to right where the 786 extension line is. Stop me out there and then correct a little bit further, bounce off the EMA right here at the 618 and then go up. Just to get an extra 2.5% profit. I'd rather sit it out and use that profit to my advantage since it's free money. I have house money at this point. It's like playing with free chips at the casino. I'm willing to gamble a little bit more because of that, but also I don't want to get prematurely stopped out. So that's the plan. I'm moving up my stop loss now to my entry or just below the EMAs. So I'll move it up to pretty much 1645. I could probably do 1650. I'm going to do 1645. Just it's a negligible difference. And keep in mind, even though this is where the EMAs are right now, even if I placed my stop loss at 1650, which is above the 99 EMA, by the time it corrects, if it does correct on schedule right now, by the time it does that, the EMAs are going to be higher because they're going to keep moving up as long as the price is above the EMAs. They're going to move towards the price. So it's like over here, when we broke up above the EMAs, they started turning towards the price. The 55 turns faster than the 99, and then when it came back down, they didn't turn away from the price. They just stopped moving as quickly towards the price. So as soon as it turned down here, this turned down with it. But it was still moving up in the direction of the price, just not as rapidly. And the 55 always moves faster than the 99 because the 55 is using less periods. So one big candle is going to turn the 55. The 99 is going to take 2 or 3 candles before it starts to turn. Oh, there we go. So, yeah, we are getting correction on schedule. I mean, I know that's only one candle, but after 12 hourly greens in a row, seeing one red, it's a pretty good indication, especially since I already told you it was going to correct here. It should give us a correction for the next 6-8 hours. If you want to get into BTS, there could be a good opportunity to get in the morning. in 6-8 hours from now, when it's done correcting. We have quite some time. We're not going to get all the way up here for another half a day. At maybe at a minimum 12 hours, probably at like a minimum. I don't think we're going to go that fast. Oh, we may. Let me show you the flags that I'm seeing on a bunch of stuff too. But all right, let me finish. I just got to do the stop loss thing. Hold on. All right, so we are good. I'm not going to bother getting into that. I'm going to have to draw another wave at a higher level, and I don't want to do that. What else do I note? Now we want to do a fib retracement for this whole run. So we'll get a good target for our correction, which most likely, given how impulsive this move was, we could probably just correct to the 382 and call it a day. So I would only be dropping back down like 3% over about, this would be 12 hours. It could take 12 hours. I thought it was going to be closer to like 8 to 10, but maybe it might go a little bit longer. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a strong drop, get a quick correction, just get it out of the way. RSI comes back down to the low 40s, mid 30s, and then we can start a new impulse wave. That's what happened over here, right? We started this impulse wave after moving sideways for a bit. The RSI was just moving sideways. It didn't have to get down to over sold territory or anything. It just needed to reset a bit, and moving sideways did the trick. Yeah, it's 618 retracement. So the 0.5, yeah, the 382 would probably be, so normally I would say the 0.5 here would be good for a retracement, or the 618. The 618 would take me back to wave 4, which is my favorite target for these retracements. The only reason why I'm not going that route here, well, there's two reasons. One, this is a very impulsive move, so it's a really strong, impulsive move up, and when you're trading that aggressively, usually you don't get a deeper correction, you get a more shallow correction. Sometimes you'll just get like a crazy, crazy shallow correction. Like it'll just go like this to the 236 right here, and then go skyrocket straight up from there. I'm sure you guys have seen that before, right? Sometimes you'll get these tiny, tiny corrections. Um, that's possible that could happen. What's not possible is that it goes much further than where I'm thinking with the 382 because the EMAs are going to be right up there. Once we get to that point, the EMA should be right around here. So I can't see them dropping down below given how strong support we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All these supports and rejections, support and resistance from the EMAs. There's just no way we're breaking through on this correction. So that's the rough target, 382 fib retracement. Everybody see what's going on here with this chart? Anybody have any questions about it? Anybody? Questions, questions, questions? No, I will not make out with you. That was obnoxious. All right. Nobody has any questions about the Elliott wave count, how I used Fibonacci, where my stop losses are, Ichimoku and EMAs, the Ichima strategy, how I came up with my targets on this. No questions at all. Everybody knows everything. So you can see. This is the new update. I just posted that. That's our current chart. But so a couple things I wanted to show you earlier this morning, 10 a.m. this morning. Did you guys, anybody get into EOS when we spotted this trend line? Look what it's done since then. That was right here. Be up 7% right now if you got in that. Anybody get in that when I posted it? No. It's a really strong trend and stood out right away. So keep an eye out for those. Get a strong trend like that with this many points of contact without any sort of wicking or anything breaking down below it. That's really strong. That's a safe trade to make. Just make the trade. If it dips back down and crosses the trend, you'll get stopped out. But it's worth the risk because you could potentially make huge gains on plays like that when you get a really strong trend. Especially when you're getting the support from either the EMAs or the Ichimoku cloud. In this case, we had a wall of Ichimoku that was keeping us up. That sort of worked with the trend, kind of met together right there. If you guys can see that, Ichimoku leading span A, the top of the Ichi cloud, plus that trend line. Really, really strong bullish move. Nobody has EOS. Nobody got into EOS this morning. Jesus, fucks are quiet tonight. Everybody's so shy all of a sudden. Oh, that was the other thing I wanted to show you. This is my new entry this morning on BTS. So the chart we just did. Discord disconnected for some reason, but now we're back. Let me get you on speaker. Hold on. What was the last thing you guys heard? All right, someone, you gotta mute that. I guess somebody heard it because I was going back through YouTube, right? So nobody had any questions about the BTS chart, right? And then, all right. And then I asked if anybody had gotten into EOS. Did anybody get into EOS this morning? All right, good. Yeah, I was trying to show you how when I spotted that this morning, it was still at it was 7% below where it is now. It's 619. So at this point, like I didn't have very much more than this to go off of, but this was all I really needed because we had a really strong either it was either the EMA or the Ichimoku cloud that was giving us a ton of support. And at this point, we already had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tests of this trend line without even the slightest hint at failure. So that was a no-brainer to jump in. But that's why when people ask me for specific prices, entry and exit and stop losses, I always tell everybody up front, I don't do signals because sometimes I'll spot something like that and I'll give it to you and say, here, this is, go have fun, go play. Like, you're going to make money on this trade, but you have to know what to do with it. So I could show you, here's a play, strong trend line, it's probably going to go up. But that's why I'm so adamant about teaching everybody, because I want you to be able to take this chart and be like, all right, I'm going to buy in, I'm going to place a stop loss at $6.08. It's going to be a 1.8 to 2.3% risk. We got a really strong trend line, so once we get up there and we move up to like 650, I'm going to move up my stop loss to my entry. I'll be risk free, and then I can lock in a couple percent. Like, I want you to be able to make those calls on your own. I'm not always there to do it. Sometimes you might spot something that I don't even spot. So it's important that everybody learns this stuff. And if you really just want to get into plays with me, I mean, that's fine. You could do that, but you're always going to miss out on stuff like this. And it's really easy. I can spot them, but I can do my part and help you. But you guys got to, take it over at some point. Yeah. But anyway, in the case of the BTS play, obviously I had more info to give you because I actually was able to give you the long tool and show you the trade itself that I was in. You could have just mimicked this and just did exactly what I did. I don't recommend that. I'd much rather you make the decision on your own based on your assessment. But in this instance, this is what I just showed you on the BTS chart. We just went through this whole thing. We were right over here. We had gone up and come back down. And when we were getting all this support from the 99 on this red candle, that's when I got in. So in theory, that really was the perfect entry, right? Because I got in while this red candle was touching the 99 EMA. I got in right at 1644, which was right here. I got in on like maybe this green candle, right? I think there might have been one more green candle after the red one. Yeah, so this was on the next green candle. And that's all it took since then. It's never gone down at all. It's been going straight up. At times, it hasn't been doing much. It's just sort of been stationary. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, maybe, or was it 14 green candles in a row? 13 green candles in a row. I'll be damned. How awesome is that, though? I mean, I imagine if they were all big ones like that. But nowhere else on this chart do I see anything like that. 13 in a row going back. I don't see any 13 in a rows. I see maybe 6 in a row or 7 in a row. This is 8, maybe. 7. That's the best you're gonna get. We just got 13, so this is a kick-ass impulse wave. We're moving back up now, back to the resistance. I wonder if we're gonna break this resistance. I don't think we will. We got a double top here, plus the former reversal candles. I can't see us breaking through this thing, but we'll see. We gotta correct here. We have to. And the target, again, is the 382 right there is the most likely correction target. Right around there. So, all right, we'll let this go. I just pulled this back up because I wanted to show you from this shot again, from when I posted it in the group before. And then there was obviously the EOS chart. That was my vet entry last night when I said this is the godlike entry, and then it ended up going down more, and I was pissed because I could have gotten in cheaper, and I was getting all cocky. Okay, next, ICX. I was really confident about this earlier. I told you it was definitely going to go up, and let me show you what I'm seeing here. You guys see all those bull flags? Give you one guess where this is going to go. Is it past my curfew yet, or can I still play longer? Let's zoom in and take a look at where we're getting support here, but we got to go out to the hourly. You know what? Actually, since we're here, let me see something. You know, we're in wave 5, right? See that? It's doing exactly what I modeled with that that 5th wave here. Should give us a 1-to-1 extension, so that means we got another 20% to run. The only real resistance we have is you got that one and then this one. Who was asking me about doing support and resistance lines and drawing trend lines and stuff. So trend lines, a good example is the chart I showed you that I gave you guys earlier with EOS. You'll spot them, right? I mean, looking at this chart, does anybody see another 2 trend lines? I can spot 2 other ones right now that I would have drawn. Just your eyes just fill them in. And you test it out and see, like, all right, well, so between these 2, this one's perfect, right? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points of contact. And it's perfect. Nothing dipping down below the line. This one, not as much. This one, we got 1, 2, and then this one's a little shallow. Or if we had gone up that way, then this one would be poking through. So this one is not that good of a trend line, and obviously not, right? Because it broke, and we ended up going back down. But this is a perfect trend line, which gave us plenty of support. This is a perfect trend line, which led to the gains that you guys got, whoever jumped in this morning when I posted it. Plus, we also had support from Ichimoku, which stood out to me. So there were a few different variables. But when you see charts, your mind will just fill it in. You look at enough charts over enough time, and your mind will just spot trend lines like that. So that's not really something that I could teach that much. I could, talk about like when I spot them and how, but for the most part, like I spotted this play because my eyes I just saw it. It just zoomed in on it. I was flipping through the charts like this, and then I saw it for a split second, and I was like, oh, there's a trend line right there. I got to draw it and see where it goes. And it's held up very well. But with support and resistance, that's the same thing. I mean, you zoom out, and I've gone over this in videos before, where you have the crosshairs right with your mouse on TradingView. So I'll just go slowly around the chart, and just kind of like with the dotted line you'll see going across, right? So just moving around like that, I'm like, oh look, there's three candles that go right across the dotted line on the chart from my mouse. That's going to be a resistance. Once we bounce back up to that point, just like with BTS, I said here we have a double bottom already, a double top, and now we're butting up against it. This is now the third attempt to break through it just on this one candle. The reason why it's having so much trouble getting through this resistance is because it's such a strong resistance. It was formed here. It was actually formed over here on this last reversal before we started going back down. And now it kind of reared its head again over here. And it's not punching through, and I don't think it's going to. I think we're just going to hover right here and eventually correct, because it's really, really hard to get through a resistance that's already been tested 3, 4, 5 times. If we do break through, it complicates things because I don't think it's going to, and then if it does, I kind of have to rethink. Is the bedroom door up there closed? It is. I closed it.
Did you know you had that brand new one?
I thought this was the one that I just...
Right here.
Oh. I'm confused.
Yeah.
This is...
You had that hanging in the closet. So now you have 2 new ones.
Oh, okay.
You had like a brand new one that you forgot about hanging in the closet.
Oh. I thought you gave me this because the dogs were eating my Yankee hat, which normally
right
you
there.
just let them do it.
Right there.
Yeah,
You have
this
2.
is the one with the bent brim. I don't
Yeah,
think
so keep
it's
one
fine.
nice.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so yeah, you guys, what was I saying? I'll rethink the this count and the correction if we break through. But again, I think it's just going to sit here and not make it. And that's something where your eyes just fill it in. Like you'll just look at this, you'll see the dotted line going across, the crosshairs coming out of the mouse. And it's like, all right, well, there's a resistance just from these 2. And then you go back and you see you also got it right here. So that's pretty much 3 attempts in a row. So that you place a strong resistance there, and sure enough, we're not getting through. At least not yet. We might, whatever. Same thing with ICX. So I just spotted this top. So when we do eventually get up here, we're going to have to fight that top, which, coincidence, is right at the 618 extension when I do wave 1 extension up to 4. So it matches up with the fib level 2, which is where you're already going to expect support and resistance at Fibonacci levels, right? So now we have multiple variables and indicators that point to the exact same thing, which is a fight to break this resistance, just like BTS is doing right now. We're going to have an identical fight on ICX when we get to this point. That's about 5.5% above where we are now. So I would ride this up if you're in ICX. And once we get to that resistance, we'll see if we break through or correct. Chances are we'll break through. We have 3 attempts here in pretty close order. And unless we get a truncated 5th wave, this should break through, because this wave 5 really does need to go higher than here. Otherwise, we'll have a truncated 5th and go into a correction prematurely. But I think we'll get through. I just got a feeling that this one won't put up nearly as much of a fight as the BTS chart is. I keep going back as if something's going to change, but it's obviously taken forever, and it's not pushing through. I'm curious what the order book looks like, but I don't feel like going over to Binance. So. All right, well, looking at ICX, we have these bull flags that keep forming, which are just another way of saying waves. So a bull, I've done these before where I'll just quickly draw it, but a bull flag is you have an uptrend, and then you get a parallel down, makes a flag shape, and then you get another uptrend. And when you get that, if you think about what it is, that's exactly what we're used to when we do like Elliott wave. So when people say that they don't like Elliott wave or something, well, do you like bull flags? Because if you call bullish flags and bullish pennants on charts, then you like Elliott wave because it's the exact same thing. It's an impulse wave, a corrective wave, and an impulse wave, and a corrective wave, and an impulse wave, right? Don't you see that? It's the exact same thing. So when people are like, oh, I'm not a big fan of Elliott wave, okay, well, I saw you post something and say like, oh, look at that bull flag forming. Then you're a fan of Elliott wave, whether you like it or not. You just call it something else. So in this case, for wave 5, since we're dealing with subwaves here, just I don't want to get too detailed on it and drive myself nuts with it, but that would have to that wouldn't really work. Yeah, that would be a failure. Wave 4 can't retrace that far. So what I would actually do here is this would be, that would have to be wave 1, 2, say something like that. I'm probably going to get something like that. Similar to BTS, we had the EMAs converging after we corrected, but they never crossed back over and went bearish. They maintained the bullish configuration, 55 EMA on top of the 99. So that was already a good sign. Plus, we're getting support. Bottom of the Ichimoku cloud gave us support, dipped down for a second, and then bounced back up. Now we're getting multiple repetitive bull flags. So I am very confident in this the ICX setup. Also, once you cross this resistance, it becomes a support, which is why this is perfect and usually what you see. So you'll see like we're going to break this resistance, potentially. We break this resistance, and then we come back down and test it again. And that's very common when you break through a support like that or a resistance like that. It becomes a support, you move up a little bit, and then you'll come back down and test it, which is why we always wait for confirmation. If it goes up this far and retests it, that's fine. That's a full wave and a correction. We could actually get stopped out or sell or whatever. But sometimes it goes up just a tiny bit and then immediately retests it. So that's why you want to wait for confirmation. You'd want this to go from 97 cents probably to like 101 or maybe probably just like $1 even. Go like a full 3 cents before you consider it confirmed and you could have some confidence that it's going to stay above that line. In this case, you would already be in it. You already own it. So you don't have to worry about waiting for confirmation to enter or anything like that. You're already in this trade. And if you're not, you could still get in now. It's plenty early. I mean, it's in the middle of wave 3. Even if I'm right about this, that's 12% that we could potentially make on the rest of wave 3. Even if we were to hit wave 5, end up with a truncated fifth at the end of wave 5, and correct from there, that would still be 6% between here and that resistance, and I think we're going to break this resistance anyway. Any of you guys holding ICX?
I hate to interrupt, but I just came in late. Did you look at Quantum or ADA yet?
No. Asshole. Interrupting. You fucking...
It seemed like a break in the action. You don't really stop talking much.
You're such a piece of shit. Yeah, I know. Well, you know why I don't stop talking? Because you assholes don't fucking ask questions when I want you to. I hate silence. I hate like awkward silence. So I'm like, hey, anybody have any questions? And nobody says anything. I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to start talking and I'm not going to stop until I run out of breath.
It's a Jewy thing.
Yeah, it is a Jewy thing.
Whatever, anybody who's listening, there's so much fucking information, it's crazy.
Well, that's why I'm hoping someone will stop me and ask me questions. That's why I'm like, nobody has any questions. Everybody understands every single thing I just said. Okay, great. I guess we don't really need to do much educational work because you guys are fucking geniuses. Like, I'm here, We pay to be a member of the group. I work my ass off for the group. Take advantage and ask some questions. Whatever the hell you want to know, we'll talk about, but ask something.
Pretty good.
Dick mouth boy. As fuck. Ask questions as fuck.
What do you think's gonna happen with the market? Honestly.
What market?
I mean, obviously, just with Bitcoin, I guess it's really the only thing that matters.
This chart is, I made this chart on the 27th. Over here. So, what I think is going to happen with the market? Pretty much exactly what I said was going to happen in the market, because that's exactly what's happening. Bitcoin has been following my chart, not the other way around. I'm pretty sure Bitcoin has been like looking at my chart like, oh, what should we do next? Oh, Jesse said that we're supposed to correct now. All right, I guess we're going to correct now. Oh, wait, we're supposed to stop and go back up? Okay, that's what Jesse said. That's just, I guess, if Jesse says, that's what we got to do. That's what we got to do.
The Jew gets named Jesse.
My grandma was a bitch and used to call me Jessica. My grandma bullied me.
That's amazing. Only a fucking Jewish grandma would do that and think that she's alright with it, you know?
She did it to pick on my mom. She used to call my mom Randolph because my mom's name is Randy. I call my mom I call my mom Randolph too when she pisses me off. But yeah, my grandma used to call my mom Randolph and used to call me Jessica to pick on, not like to my face, but just to do it to like make fun of my mom for naming me Jesse.
Grandma used to do that. She would go Michael, but you know, everybody calls me Mike because whatever, you know. And she would get so mad at my mom and be like, "How can you let people call him that? That's a truck driver's name."
Yeah, so this is what's going to happen with BTC. Exactly what I've said. We're going to go back up. We have to test this ceiling again, but we should break out of it on the next attempt and then run up to 7,500 and then call it a day.
Like a little alt run in there, because I know everybody's like, Doge is pumping. So
we've been making money for the last 2 weeks consistently, based on partially because of my TA of Bitcoin. So not only have I been TAing the shit out of alts, but my Bitcoin analysis has been so on point. We've been able to effectively like manage our alt trades based on what Bitcoin's doing because we know what it's going to do because it's been so consistent in following my model. So as long as we stick to that, like if we break through the ceiling of this triangle like I thought, we should run right up to 7,500 pretty quick, and then I'll have a decision to make whether or not I think we could push up higher into the higher sevens, which until now I still don't think we will. I think our max is like 75, 76. Maybe the 76, 80 resistance that I have might possibly. Huh? So it's possible we get a little higher. I don't know yet. We'll see. But in the meantime, I'm not really concerned about Bitcoin. Like, having a stable Bitcoin means that I can make money and we can make money. I don't need Bitcoin to go up. I just need it to not really go down. As long as it's not going down and it's stable, then I got this. I can play alts. I can call alts all day long, chart the shit out of them. So this final chart I had, this last entire segment charted out since the 27th, but we were also down here. All this stuff was perfectly predicted too. Like, we had this entire wave 2 from 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, we had done. So pretty much everything from this last drop down to wave 2 on, we've had perfectly predicted, and pretty much my analysis held up the entire time. And that's allowed us to do our alt thing. So the alts are still going to give us a little run. We're going to have, it's not like a huge alt run where everything's pumping. Like 2 weeks ago, there was a 48-hour period where everything was up 15%. And that's where people were pissing me off on Twitter, because I would post charts with timestamps 2 days beforehand, and then they would go up and I would say something about it, and people were like, everyone's a genius in a bull market, and I would flip out because it pissed me off. And I would tell them to look at my fucking timestamps. In this case, we'll get like another day or two, maybe we might have a run like that where everything's up 15%, but I don't need that. This is what I like. I like this market where some stuff's up 5 or 10%. Mostly everything is kind of like between -5 and +5. Because as long as we have a market that's just stable like that, I'm gonna do really well while everybody else is struggling, and that's what I like.
Totally ideal. The risk is very low, and the returns are pretty good. You know, the thing is, everybody in crypto so thinks that we're gonna fucking pump 100% every day or something fucking retarded.
That's a lot of the people in this group are kind of spoiled because I've spoiled them. I've spoiled you guys. Let's be honest. I've spoiled people who have joined this group in the last month have been pretty spoiled, and then people who were in this month at the in this group at the beginning when I started this thing in April got spoiled because the market wasn't even doing well. I was like it had nothing to do with the market. I was just on fire, and a 200% play on 200% on ONT, and then a few other insane plays, 115% on BTS. So people get spoiled even in like at a macro level, the whole market, but then like in a micro level, just in this group, people who joined in the last 2 weeks, some people are like, "Oh, this is so boring," because during the day we're only making. I'm like, dude, you're up 6% today, and people are genuinely bored at being up 6%. So that happens. We get spoiled when we have good periods like that. But I mean, right now, the market, everything is not up. Some stuff's up 2, 3, 4%. Mostly everything is pretty much like even, either down 5% or up 5%. Not much stuff is up more than that. But our plays are, because we know how to get into good plays. So ICX is one of those plays. It's going to keep moving up. It's been doing exactly what I said it would do. And again, when the TA is that accurate early on, I'm confident as we move forward that it's going to hold up. So where was
ADA pumping, man? Still, Quantum too. They're both doing pretty damn good since you started the stream.
You're welcome. Where is the ICX chart that I posted earlier?
Okay. And I got into crypto thinking it was a long-term investment like anything else. I bought Ethereum at like $42 thinking I'll hold this for a couple of years, and in a couple of years maybe it'll be worth something.
Yeah. So this ICX play that I called was at 2 o'clock in the morning last night. So it was 24 hours ago. And it's been doing, it couldn't be more on point.
And the market is looking, it's looking good right now, but it's not looking like crazy or anything. And you nailed the so that was solid as shit.
I don't like when the market looks crazy. It's harder to predict and it's higher risk. I like when the market is like it is now. Exactly. I like where the market is now, where things are going up slow and steady, and I can predict it, model it, and mitigate my risk, mitigate our risk, and we can do really well while other people are struggling. And that's good for me because then I get to show off and talk about how 4 out of 5 of our plays are up 10% today, and other people are like, "Oh, well, I'm losing today." All right, well then come get an education, bitch.
To be honest, I don't know how people are losing today.
Huh?
Like, maybe you're not up a lot, but if you're losing today, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, people might not be losing, but yeah, people aren't really up a lot. Oh, depends. If they're just holding the same coin that happened to go up a lot today, then they might be up. But
QTC, they lost today.
like BQX, I think BQX is gonna blow up. I really, really do. Although we do this is a little bit of a bearish formation here, setting up a little bit of a bearish pennant. Actually, I guess. So the thing with these sorts of formations, right, like triangles and wedges, you can kind of make them whatever the hell you want. Like, I could very easily just be like, oh, this is an ascending triangle, even though it's really not. But I could easily say it is. I could just be like, yeah, it's an ascending triangle. Or you could just draw it a little differently and be like, all right, well, I'm going to use this candle up here, and then all of a sudden it's a falling wedge, which is bullish formation. But overall, this whole segment is starting to look like it could be a little bit of a bearish flag, but I won't know just yet. I need to see what happens here. Chances are it's not going to be a bearish flag. So to be a bearish flag, this would have to be kind of symmetrical like it is here. But we would need to make contact and bounce off the top again. But if we do that, as soon as we get above these EMAs, we're not coming back down. So once we break above these EMAs, we're bullish. I think. I'm pretty sure once that happens, we cross over and go into bullish territory, kind of like here. Like we were down here, right? Once we got above the EMAs, we caught support from the EMAs. They eventually converged and crossed over and went bullish. And then we went on a nice run and made 20% in 3/4 of a day. I think that's what's going to happen again with BQX. But that's why I told everybody not to buy it earlier. I specifically was like, don't buy it. We have to break this resistance and get a little bit above so we have some confirmation. And then we wicked up here a little bit above, but not that much. I wanted to get above both EMAs really before I would enter, or at the very least clear the 55 substantially, and we never did. So that's why I'm really careful with planning my entries, because if I had gotten in prematurely, I would be down. I would have gotten stopped out. If I used this same trade that I have mapped out here, I would have gotten in and stopped out today. But I never bought in the first place because I never had confirmation. And that's why it's really important that you wait for confirmation on these things, so you can have some level of confidence that it is a breakout and not just a fluke. All right, so my ES trend line is still perfect. There's no reason to expect that to drop back down. But I would do a... We are going to correct eventually, and you could actually see this is a... It's pretty much maxing out now in wave 3, so it is going to correct soon. Stop barking, Rosie. Hey, do you get her? Oh, look, it's a bull. Speaking of which, it's about that time. Hey, Rosie, come here. Give me a rock. Give me. Hey, come. Give me. Get your work, girl. Oh, you go, girl. All right. So yeah, this is like parabolic almost. Like we're really moving up here. Really impulsive move. But it's also pretty textbook. So we got a subwave here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could do that's about a 1618 extension. That's gonna be pretty on point.
ADA just moved like up over the cloud. Stop loss to like just under the cloud, or
Told you, be a perfect 1618 extension. I don't know. I haven't even looked at ADA, but I will. See, perfect 1618. Whoops, 1618 extension for wave 3. So this alarm right here was actually when I had originally gotten into EOS, and then I got stopped out later on this drop. But that was a good entry. If I was still holding it, it'd be nice. But I got stopped out up here somewhere, and I bought it back today, but I got stopped out up here somewhere. I guess it wouldn't really be that much different. I guess I was better off getting stopped out and buying it back today, because if I had just kept holding it, That's what's so good about the stop loss strategy too. Because if I kept holding it, I wouldn't be up. I would only be up another 3% above where I would have been. So it was actually a good thing that I got stopped out here and then bought back because I was able to make another 8%, 7%. So I think this is probably done soon. This is probably gonna correct pretty soon. I mean, this was just a rough count, and I mean, I drew it roughly, but it's pretty on point to the 1618 extension for wave 3. Let's do a quick fib retracement too. Yeah, that would be perfect. I mean, that drop, I didn't know that was a 618, but the fact that it is leads me to be even more confident that this is going to be our wave 4 retracement, pretty close to it, because this is a really bullish move, so I don't think we're going to go all the way down to the 0.5. This is far more likely. Fuck you. Good. Didn't erase it.
Just a question, right?
Thank God.
So, you're right. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Cool. So I entered EOS with BTC. I mean, everything you're doing at the moment, you're kind of hedging against Tether. I mean, it's it's kind of much of a muchness at the moment. I suppose it's still less risk against USD at the moment yet, or what's your kind of feel on that? I mean,
So
Bitcoin's probably,
no, the reason I do that, wait, are you new? I don't know who's talking. Too many people. There's too many. Okay, there's too many people in here now. So even people whose like voices I normally recognize, I'm mixing up now because there's just too many new people. But the reason why I trade against USDT, well, I trade. It doesn't matter what you buy it with, but I set my stop losses and do the analysis based on USDT because if you have a stop loss and you get stopped into Bitcoin and Bitcoin goes down 10%, you're going to lose 10% even if you get stopped out. So by having your stop losses with Tether, as soon as you get stopped out, your money's safe, you're back in Tether. So you should, if you have only tethered pairings, you're drastically mitigating your risk, especially when you're uncertain in the market. Now, right now, I have some confidence in the market because my analysis has been so on point. So I pretty much know what BTC is going to do, and it's not going to come down right now. It's very unlikely, at least. So I have no problem getting into USDT or to get into pairs with BTC that don't have a tether pairing. But if I'm in a pair that does have a tether pairing, there's no way in hell you would have a stop loss back to Bitcoin when you have the option of doing it with tether. So if you have the choice to do it with tether, you do it with tether. It's not even a question.
Sure. Cool, man. Yeah.
So, but I'm still in some USDT paired stuff now. Like I'm in ELF and BTS. It looks like we just barely breaking above that resistance. So I'm in a couple of them now, but I still have to pay attention. Like if the market does for some reason crash and tank, I'm going to have to go in after I get stopped into Bitcoin. I'm going to have to go in and sell that Bitcoin to Tether right away.
Yeah, cool. All right, cheers.
We actually are breaking this resistance. I don't know if this could just be a tease. I don't know if it's really gonna push through. We'll see. All right, so we did ICX. We got that one. BQX, we're still waiting. It's pushing up now, but we still, until it gets above the EMAs, I'm not entering. But once it does, I really like it. I really like that play. So if you're in EOS now, at this point, I would move my stop loss all the way up. Like, I have, let's see, yeah, that's a lot. All right, I'm going to move mine too. I was going to say it depends when you got in, but that's way too much profit. It's 12.5% now. I'm going to move mine up. I was thinking of just kind of letting it ride, and letting us correct and then move up again, but I'd rather get stopped out and then buy back in. So my stop loss is about to go, well, you know what? I'll tell you and do it. It's going to go right under the 786. There's a support right here. It's pretty much the 786. It's just the 786 is slightly above this level. So it's gonna be just below that. So 643, 644, around there. 642 to 644, I would say. In that 1% range of no, that would be, sorry, hold on. I do 1.5% roughly, that would be 639. Okay, so I'm gonna say So, hold on. I'm placing my order first before I do a chart because I've done that before where I start working on a chart for you guys and then I miss my opportunity to move my stop loss up. So, and then I get stopped out, you know, or I don't get stopped out rather, and I end up losing my profit. So, What are you saying, bud? No connection on dark side. Chat. Yeah, you click on the voice chat, and then you have to hit connect to voice button. Unless, well, I guess it's different if you're on a computer. Well, you're on your computer trying to use it. I don't want to do it on mine because it'll disconnect my phone. But all right, so I have my SL now. I was going to let it ride, take the correction, but 12.5% profit actually. Yeah, if you're on iPhone and you click the voice dark side chat on the left side of the screen where it shows all the channels, then all the way in the bottom you'll get a pop-up where it shows everybody who's in the group, everybody who's in the voice chat in the middle of the screen. And all the way in the bottom it'll say connect to voice. If it doesn't say connect to voice, then you're already in there. So it will say it if you look at it. You have to click voice dark side only, voice dark side only on the left. And do you see a list of everybody who's in? Crypto DeVito, Dude Man, Freezer. Do you see everybody's names? Bud? No, I didn't do NULS and Elf yet, which I don't even know if I'm gonna have time at this point. Maybe really, really quickly. I gotta go to bed in a few minutes. I'm not doing what I did the last 3 nights and doing this till 4 a.m. I'm like, I couldn't keep my eyes open today. I was falling asleep while I was driving. You're not in. The bottom of your iPhone doesn't say connect to voice. Take a screenshot. Screenshot, screenshot, screenshot. If you were in and connected to it, then your name would show up here. I'm telling you, you're not connected. Short-term plays. This is yes. Updating. Moved. Stop loss. Locked in. 12.5% profit. Hey, puppy girl. Good girl. What was I gonna do? Shit, what was I just gonna do? Ah, perfect. Look at that. Like a boss. See, that's beautiful. I have this setup where I spot a resistance, right? And then we do a Fibonacci retracement, and a major Fibonacci level is right at that resistance. That confirms that what my eye caught and what we've seen trading before was not just a fluke. It wasn't just there's a lot of trading in that area. That happens to be a major fib level, and that's why it was already there. So it just sort of serves as confirmation. You're looking in the way wrong place, bud. You're looking on the right side of the screen where it shows people who are in the chat room that you're in. On the left side of the screen, there's you're looking what you just sent a screenshot of is this over here. This shows who's online on the server, right? Over here where it shows the different channels, short-term plays, long-term plays, private dark side chat, the voice channel's listed over there. If you click on any of the names or the name of the voice channel over there, then you'll see a whole list pop up of all these names on the screen, and it's going to say connect to voice on the bottom. All right, dude. I'm gonna DM you real quick. Ugh. All right, yes, we're done with. So vet starting to inch up, but we've just been moving sideways. I don't really have a substantial update for vet, so we're just gonna kind of skip that one. BTC, we already know what we're talking about here, but just so you know, sort of like we had with ICX, we're seeing a similar thing with BTC, where we're getting a bunch of flags. Now this is a bullish flag, right? This was actually a bearish flag. And then we came down, bounced. Now this is a bull flag. Next spot is up. I know that looks like nonsense, but just trust me. That's what's happening. Bull flags. Bullish flag is like that, and then it goes up. A bearish flag is like this, and then it goes down. If you have the flagpole that goes up, no, sorry, no, that's the bullish flag like that. When it goes up like this, it's actually bearish. So it goes like this, goes down and then up, or it's going down, and then you get a flag that goes back up a little bit, and then that's a continuation pattern. When you have it like this, it goes like that, and then it goes up like this, the flag is going up. That's actually a reversal pattern where it usually comes down. Just like a rising wedge, like that, usually breaks down. And a falling wedge, like this, is usually a really strong breakout indicator of a potential big breakout. That's a very bullish indicator. Falling wedges are one of my favorite indicators. Okay, Bud, scroll down in that list. Go down to where it says premium dark side. Right now you see the droids thing. Click on that where it says premium, premium the dark side. Click on that. The word premium the dark side. Right now the only thing you're seeing are the bold white ones, because the bold white ones, if you do this and I minimize these, the bold white ones are the ones that are active, that have new messages in them. So now it only shows those. But if I expand them all, then I can see everything in there, and you need to expand it. You have premium the dark side collapsed. If I do this and expand it, then it's going to show everything that's in there. Right now, you have it collapsed, and then scroll down in that list, and then you'll see on the bottom, you'll see voice chat, the voice channel.
I got it. I guess fuck.
Yep, I know you do. I knew you'd get it eventually. I was like, it was like taking forever, because by the time you'll hear it on YouTube and then do a screenshot, I was like, wish there was a faster way I could have just showed you. I guess I could have done a video on my phone or something, but well, now you know.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks a lot.
Yep, of course. All right, so this is bittersweet because my TA is right, and this resistance is really strong, and we were going to break it, but we kind of did a little bit, but now it looks like we're finally correcting. So that semi-breaking of the resistance is just false. It's not going to keep going. We are indeed coming back down, and that wick is just fluke, and I think we're going to correct just like I was saying we would. So now we're going to get that correction I was anticipating, I think, where we're going to get a shallow correction just to the 236 retracement, maybe to the, oh no, sorry, never mind. I thought we changed that. So it was like this. The initial drop to the 236, and then a little bounce, and then down to the 382. It's theoretically possible that we just retrace to the 236 and then move up from there just because it's really bullish, but I don't know. It seems kind of shallow to me. I think it's more likely that we go down to that 382. Okay, next, Quantum. Quantum's doing exactly what we said it would. There's really no update. If, honestly, I could post this chart now as if it was a brand new chart. There's not a single thing I would change about it. Ichima is bullish. EMA is converging. We have diverging. Well, they were converging, but now they're diverging because we're back to bullish situation. Bullish divergence on the RSI predicted this move when you went down to the 15-minute. You can't really see it on the hourly. I've explained this. This looks like these are sort of floating in the middle of nowhere. If you go down to the 15-minute or the 5-minute, they're actually not. That's actually a line that I specifically drew based on the RSI, right? The price action was coming down. Yeah.
Can you show the screen on YouTube? I think it went black. Yeah, the screen went black.
How long ago?
There you go.
How long ago did that happen?
20 seconds.
Okay, good. Sometimes stuff like that happens and nobody says anything until 20 minutes later, and then there's just a black screen on the saved YouTube. So there's nothing I would change about this. This is the same chart. If I did a fresh analysis, I'd post the exact same chart. But I went down to the 15-minute to show you this line here is falling price action, increasing RSI, strong bullish divergence, predicted this move up. I just wanted to show you at the 15-minute because if you look at the hourly, it looks like I just have a random small green line that doesn't do anything, that I just sort of pretended did something right here. But when you are at a different time frame, that does come into focus, and then you can see it. So that's what that is. So there was bullish divergence. We have this bull flag. I just gave you that example, right, where we have the flagpole, and then the flag itself comes down, and then we have another leg up. That the drawing I just showed you, it's exactly what we're seeing here. Earlier today, I had drawn this before we obviously did any of this. And sure enough, we've been moving up ever since. So that's everything is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. So depending on where you got in, a good stop loss from here is kind of tough because we're moving far away from the, let's see, this is actually, never mind, it's not tough. This is easy. So current price is right there. I would take my stop loss down below, I would say, about 0.5% below the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud. So 4% is kind of high. It's a little on the higher side of what I like to do for stop losses. I'll do 4% sometimes, but it's definitely on the little higher side. But it would be worth it in this case because you're getting a ton of support. So the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud, which is one of my dynamic supports, but then also both EMAs. Because keep in mind, if the price starts to come down here, both EMAs are going to continue moving up. They're going to start moving up less fast. They're going to slow down and start to move less up, but they will keep moving up as long as the price is above the EMAs. It'll start moving. They'll continue to move towards the price. So that means that these EMAs are going to keep going up. So even if right now you just place this, if you placed your stop loss right at the bottom of right, essentially in line with a 99 EMA, by the time the 99 EMA hits your stop loss right here, it would already be above like the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud pretty much. So 3.5% you could get away with too, I would say. So from the current price right now, a good stop loss, 3.5 to 4%, about $4.60. And I'm still midterm bullish on this, so yeah, I've nothing to add really. The only reason I'm going to post this as an updated chart is because I added the stop loss note. Otherwise, I would just leave this as is because the last one that I posted in the group is fine. Where's the rest of this? What the hell? Oh, you know what just happened? It just erased my entire chart for what do you call it? Elf. It's gonna be gone, I bet. Yep. Because that's TradingView. It's the worst software ever to exist in the history of software. It's absolutely pathetic that like as I'm working here, it'll refresh a page and just erase all my work. Doesn't matter how many hours went into it. Just erase it all. Why not? It's not like this person has a life and a business and other people are depending on him or anything. Let's just erase 15 hours worth of work. Who gives a shit? We don't care. Fucking dicks. I don't even know where my last elf chart is. Yeah. So this is significant because we've broken the bottom of the cloud and both EMAs. So that was the resistance that we were fighting before. So now we've broken that resistance. It's a very good sign. At the very least, we move up another 2% to the top of the cloud, then we might get rejected. We might bounce off. So when you go across the cloud like this, usually once you're in the cloud, you usually go to the other side. So if you go to the other side, you're meeting resistance, then you'll bounce back down. But you might not. Sometimes you go through and you just break out the other side. We'll have to wait and see. Depends. Every situation's different. In this case, we have a lot of resistance there, so chances are we're probably going to get bounced back the first time. So check out, we got here. Several instances where we were getting rejected right there, right? You guys see that? So that's a pretty decent resistance. Anybody have any questions on this? Nope. Nobody has any questions? Sure. Yeah, no, you guys have all the answers, everybody. You know what I'm actually going to do? I just realized looking at this chart, I'm going to move up my stop loss and just be risk-free because we have strong support from the bottom of the cloud and the EMAs. I think it's very unlikely that we break back down, and if we do, it's risk-free. I'm not going to take a loss. I just won't make any money, but I won't take a loss. Nobody has any questions. I hate that. I really hate when you guys don't have any questions because that means somebody's going to lose money later because they didn't ask me questions.
I don't have a question. I'm just, you know what? I'm just kind of following. I'm new. I just joined yesterday. I'm just kind of following what you're saying and following the charts on a day. You know, trying to follow you on a day-to-day basis and just kind of follow what you're saying. I'm just really learning from the ground up. You know, basically the stuff that you're doing.
Yep, we could do. We'll do it.
I don't have any questions. You know, I'll definitely have some questions in the future, but right now, you know, it's just watching what they're doing. It's really, you know, it's really helpful. I don't have any money in CLF right now, but watching it and everything that you're explaining is extremely helpful.
All right, good. Make a note. Yeah, make a note of the stuff that you don't understand as well, or stuff you have questions about. And what we'll do is this is just like a charting, going over plays, general. You know, a little bit of education here and there if I think of a topic that I want to explain. Like, you know, throughout the process, I'll be like, oh, by the way, this is what it looks like when you have a bullish flag or a bearish flag. Like, I'm doing that. But that's not really the intention of the live stream. Yeah, so that's not the intention of the live stream per se. It's just something that I do. I mix in educational stuff even during these live streams. When I do a live stream that's specifically, I call it a Vader University live stream, that's when the entire point of it is for an educational reason. So since you're new, let me just pull this up here and show you. So you're going to want to do this. Were you on the welcome call yesterday?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, so we already went through all this stuff. So the ones that I was telling you about are under Vader University. And then these ones like So review charts and potential plays is just a TFC live stream. Some of these in the Vader University channel just say TFC live stream, but from now on, like what I've been doing recently is I'm only putting the Vader University educational ones in this channel. The regular TFC live streams, I just post a live stream link in our private chat, like I did tonight. But Vader University is for these especially. So this was Elliott Wave.
Right, I took all the notes from that yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm gonna have a chance to go through all that stuff this week, and I work 70 hours a week, and I finally get a break this weekend, so I'll have a chance to go through a lot of this stuff. So.
Nice. All right, good.
I didn't want you to think that nobody's listening or anything, but maybe not appreciative of what you're doing. That's all.
Yeah, no, not you.
Definitely going to go through the stuff that you suggested. I saw that stuff last night and made notes of it and everything. So.
Good.
So I just don't want to repeat yourself, but I'm just watching you do the charts. It's just great stuff, man. I really appreciate it.
Cool. Yeah, but people who are in them and stuff, I'm saying, have questions, but they don't. People get shy sometimes. Some streams, people are shy.
I'll definitely come at you with questions when I have legitimate questions.
Yeah, sometimes people are shy and they don't ask me anything, and sometimes people don't shut the fuck up. Usually it's me. Usually I'm the only one who doesn't shut the fuck up, but sometimes other people join the fun, which is what I like, because I like to talk about this stuff. It gets boring when I'm repeating myself or I feel like people aren't paying attention. If you're not in, you don't have to ask questions. I'm just saying for the people who are in certain positions that aren't asking questions, they're missing an opportunity. So it's also because I explain things so damn well that I explain things really well. So in this case, it's a lot of people might have just been like, all right, so I think it's going to do this and just drew that without explaining why. But the whole process, I'm like, so usually when you get into the Ichi cloud, you break through to the other side, then you catch a rejection, and then you need to find a support again. So I'm kind of explaining it as I go through it in my head. So hopefully that's good for everybody. But yeah, if anybody still has questions, you can let me know. All right, I'm done. I'm going to bed. I'll look at what did somebody else wanted me to look at ONT. So let's do that real quick. I wonder how many charts I'm going to lose when I go to sleep, because TradingView is going to freeze up and delete all my shit. What? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I was talking to my wife. Trying to think, how do I stop this from overwriting? Because the way it's doing it, I know why it's doing it. Let me see. You know what I'll do? I'll do it this way. Yeah, Vet's making a move. There we go. So yeah, Vet's finally trying to push up, which is good. What? No. My ONT chart also got erased. Everything from after the 29th, or after the 29th, so from the last 48 hours. So we got dancing EMAs on ONT. I call them dancing EMAs when they're kind of indistinguishable and indecisive, as they are in this case. So they're kind of flipping back and forth and not really making up their mind because we're trying to develop a trend here. We are developing a trend. We are moving up, but it takes some time to develop. EMAs move quickly, but not that quickly. So right now we're on. If I were to come up with like a rough Elliott wave count for this setup, I mean I could do the subwave count, which would be two. No, that wouldn't work. It'd have to be. So this wave 3, I want this to be the 1618 extension, just as a starting point. Is that accurate enough where I could draw that freehand and it's exactly at the 1618 extension? So that's what I tell you guys all the time how I love doing that, where I'll draw out freehand just a rough count and I'm like, you know what, that's pretty much going to be wave 3, and then I do a fib extension of 1 and I get that on point. Like that was just off the top of my head drawing it. It couldn't really be any closer to that 1.618 fib extension. That's the sort of thing that the more charts you look at and the more charts you do, you'll be able to do that too. Where your brain just kind of fills in the blanks. You don't really think about it. It's sort of second nature. Like I just draw it, and I know that chances are it's going to be pretty close to being exactly right because I've seen so many charts, hundreds or thousands of charts, and it just becomes like speaking another language. If you move to Mexico and start speaking Spanish and listening to people speak Spanish every day, you're eventually just going to speak Spanish. You're not even going to have to translate in your head anymore. So you really want to practice and make sure that you keep looking at this sort of stuff, looking at charts you don't understand, trying to understand how I came to my conclusions. You obviously have me as a tool. You could just ask me. In the case of other people, you have to speculate a bit, but look at other people's charts, try to figure out what they've done, and if you need, you could show me somebody else's chart, ask me what they've done, and I'll be able to tell you probably in most cases. But that's a really helpful tool. You want to be able to do that you want to have a diverse array of expectations in your mind. Like you want to be able to look at 50 different charts without being surprised. So make sure you're looking at everything and bringing in as much info, absorbing as much info as you can. And we can build upon that if you really want to get into TA. If you don't care about getting into TA, you just need to know the basics, then that's fine too. In that case, all you really need to do is learn support and resistance, so you know how I'm getting to my support and resistance areas. You don't really need to know Elliott wave, maybe some basic Fibonacci, and then you'll be able to place your stop losses appropriately. Like looking at this right now, if I didn't really know how to do Elliott wave and stuff, I could just look at, all right, well, here's the 2 EMAs, so I could place my stop loss below that. And then what's something else you want to find is like a good support or resistance. Well, that yellow line that was an old stop loss I had for one of my old trades, it's kind of going across right where we're getting all these bounces, so that might even be a good support. It's too deep to put a stop loss there, so like the price is up here. If you place a stop loss there, it'd be 5.5% to get below that level. But you could have a tight stop loss here below the EMAs is really small, and then beyond that, maybe you'll do like a Fibonacci. That would be an instance where you do Fibonacci retracement. So you'll go from the top down, do a fib retracement down to the bottom. Now you'll see the 236 retracements right here. We just broke above the 382, which is actually a critical one because you can see a lot of rejections at the 382. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then, of course, this reversal right here. So that's a really important level, and that's actually serving as a support now. It's also right along the top of the Ichimoku cloud, so it's almost like a double support. Top of the Ichi cloud plus the 382, plus it's already a horizontal support where we see a lot of rejections and a lot of support. So I'm pretty confident that that's actually going to hold as a support. So at this point, if the price is up here, if you were to place your stop loss, if you are entering a trade right now, and you place your stop loss below the EMAs, you would have support from the 382 and the top and the bottom of the Ichi cloud plus the 2 EMAs, so about a 3% stop loss, about 3% below the current price, at like 247 or so. So that would be a good 3% stop loss below the current price if you were entering right now, which it's not even a bad idea to enter now. If you're not an ONT, you could definitely get in now because just wave 3 alone is a potential 10% run. And if you were to do that now and risk 3%, that'd be a 3 to 1 risk to reward ratio. So if you were to enter right now, place your stop loss at 3% below, so right here, and then place your target up at the top of wave 3. That would give you a 3.23, about a 3 RR, meaning you're going to make over, 3.23. You'll make more than 3 times your money, like what you're risking. So you'll risk $20, make $60, make $65. In reality, it's you would risk on $1,000 trade, you would risk $30.20, and you could make $97.60. So it's worth it because you're taking on a much smaller risk for a more substantial reward. In some cases, you'll get an even tighter stop loss, an even larger target, where we might get a big breakout and get a lot more than that. But even that by itself, just a 3% or a 3 RR is already really good. Sometimes we'll get placed with RRs that are like 10, which is insane.
WTC yet?
No.
It retraced down to like the 55 and 19 EMA.
If you don't know, if you're in ONT right now and you don't know what I mean by that, if you don't know like where to place your stop loss, when I say move it up, because when I say move it up to your entry price so you're risk free, what I've noticed people doing is they're telling me like, oh, I got stopped out. I'm like, why did you get stopped out? Your stop loss should have been down here. Why was your stop loss up here? And it's like people are like, well, I wanted to be risk free, and that's, you always say that's great being risk free, so I moved it up to my entry price. It's not like as soon as the price goes above the price that you bought it at, you should move your stop loss up to that. Your stop loss should stay wherever it was at the beginning until sometimes when the price is all the way up here before you move it. Sometimes you don't want to move it for quite a while, not until you have a really strong support. If you were to buy just like I have pictured here, if you were to buy down here in this image, right at the 236, if you were to buy down here and your stop loss is down here below that prior bottom, then when you, like right now, with the price up here, that means that you're up 4.27%. That doesn't mean move your stop loss up to your entry price, because what if there's no good support here? In this instance, we actually do have some good support there, and it's probably safe to do it, but people have been doing that where like it starts to break out just like this, and then they'll like, oh, I'm going to move my stop loss up to right up the EMA, right below the EMAs, and lock in 2% profit. Well, then it dips down and it stops them out at 2% profit when they could have had 6% profit. So if you don't understand that, don't stop moving your stop losses. Stop doing anything. Talk to me. If you don't want to ask questions in the voice chat because you're shy, that's fine. Shoot me a DM and talk to me. Don't just wing it because you're giving up profits. You can learn much faster, much more effectively, and much more successfully if you talk to me and let me teach you. Don't try to be a hero. Just don't try to get ahead of yourself. Some of this is complicated shit. If you don't get it, don't try to just figure it out on your own just because you can. I know you can. I can too. I taught myself how to do this stuff. But it doesn't mean that it's the best way to go. If I had somebody when I was learning, I would have been able to do it without losing 50 grand, and I would have been able to do it in a tenth of the time. So, all right, that's that. This is a very simple chart for ONT. I'll post it even though there's really not that much stuff in here that's helpful because I lost my entire original chart, which was super detailed. Keep in mind, any of these bullish charts, there's always a caveat. If the market remains bullish, then this is what I think can happen with this, or ELF, or Quantum, or anything. If the market does not remain bullish, if the market comes down and Bitcoin drops $250 right now, every single one of these plays could potentially be invalidated. Holy shit, jeez, I can't believe BitShares is bouncing again. It broke this resistance. I don't know what it's going to do now, to be honest. I did not see it breaking this resistance, but now it has an extended fifth wave, which is interesting. We haven't had that yet since we've been doing this. With an extended fifth, you can potentially get really high, 2618 extension, 3618 extension, which is massive. That's a huge run. So we could actually run all the way up here. Essentially, the way it works is so you would have like subwave with an Elliott wave count of, I did ABCDE by mistake. That was what it was going to be. It's almost like you're just adding another subwave. You're almost adding like an extra wave, another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kinda. That's hard to explain, but yeah, it's kind of like what's going on. So this could be a really bullish run if this keeps going up from here. It looks like it wants to correct, but it keeps breaking through this resistance. So I don't know if it's going. I don't think it's going to be honest. I think it probably is gonna stop and come back down, but it's really trying. It's trying really hard. Everything is bouncing. Everything's looking good right now. BQX, I'm not in. I'm not going to get in unless I break above both EMAs. My old entry target was 7,200. If we get to 7,200, I may buy. I might just give it a little bit more space, maybe like 7,230, just a little bit above the 99 EMA. EOS, we already have a plan in place. I got a stop loss, so see if we keep moving up enough. Like right now, so I have my stop loss up here, which I did because, well, my stop loss is a little below actually. Let me between 637 and 640, so So the point being here is if it drops and I get stopped out, it's going to keep correcting. Then I can buy back for the next run up. But if it manages to break through and say it goes up to this 717, then I can move my stop loss up to where I thought wave 3 was going to be below the 1618 right here, and now I'm locking in additional profit. And you only really have to be right once. So the way this works is right now somebody might say, "Oh, I would sell and take profit." I would say don't sell and take profit. Instead, place your stop loss here. Risk 2% right now. If it goes up to the finished completion of wave 3, you can move your stop loss up to the current price right now. Then if you get stopped out, it's as if you did take profit in the first place. It's as if I shut my mouth and I let you take profit and sell, right? Because it's at the exact same price. So if you're right one time and you get to move your stop loss up again, now you're taking the same amount out that you would have taken if you get stopped versus if you sell. Except if it goes up a second time beyond that, now you're locking in more profit as you move up your stop loss. Now you're getting more profit than you would have gotten if you would just sold and taken your profit. That's why it's so much better, instead of just selling to take profit, to use stop losses as a tool to increase your profits, and incrementally move them up and increase them, locking in more and more. Vet is moving nice. That's good. It's good to see. NULS might make another move up too, actually. It is really low on volume, but it might make another move up because the way it's consolidating now. So just a continuation of this move up to wave 3 pretty much. Now there's an alternative thing here, right? So one possibility is another possibility where what's happening here is we got 1, 2, 3. That would be too deep of a correction. That wouldn't really work. I was gonna say that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a sideways correction. That actually wouldn't work. If anything, it would have to be 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, it doesn't really work. It's pretty much the way it is. That's the only count that I really see. So we'll see if we get the big breakout. If not, it's possible. I mean, Ichimoku's gone red, so that's starting to look bearish, but that doesn't necessarily mean it can't move up. That just means that it doesn't have any sort of bullish outlook right now based on the averages that Ichimoku uses. But like here, it went red and came down a tiny bit, but it was correcting, so that was fine. Same thing here. It can correct a little bit as long as it doesn't get down low enough to stop people out who have their stop losses down at 170. Then it's fine. Come on, correct already. Jesus. Moving up another leg on BTC. All right, that's it. We're done. Anybody have any questions? Anybody alive? All right. Nobody has any questions, right? You guys are...
Hey, Tom. Jesse.
Yeah.
Hey, Jesse.
Yeah.
Did you go over like the whole market settlement with BTC USD?
With what?
Bitcoin. Did you go over what's going on with Bitcoin? I might have missed it.
Yeah, we went over Bitcoin at some point. I mean, Bitcoin's doing what my chart said for a week. This chart's been the same for a week. It's going up. It's going to hit up here. It's going to correct, and it's going to go up again. And then it's going to potentially break through the top of this triangle formation and get up to wave 5. This literally has not changed for 4 days now. I've had this chart exactly this way for 4 days, and every centimeter has been perfect. So I expect my chart to hold up until we get some sort of massive rejection or something. Then I'll reevaluate. But for now, it's doing exactly what I modeled. Probably the most accurate BTC analysis I've ever had. Moving that wave count like that, moving that wave count slightly down like I just did, moving the 4 down to here and the 5 from here over to here, is literally the first line I've changed on this thing in days.
Screen went dark. Jesse, I think your YouTube screen went black again.
So this is, I just moved this wave 4 from here down to here, and I moved wave 5 from here over to here just to compensate since this dipped a little bit lower. And that line, moving that over slightly, is literally the first thing I've moved in days and days. So I trust this chart. I trust my analysis, and once we get closer to the end of wave 5, I'll evaluate what I think we're going to expect for a correction. And if we get some sort of rejection at the top of this trend or something, then maybe we get rejected and go back down to 6,800, in which case I'll have to reevaluate things. But for right now, it's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing.
Thanks, Jesse.
Yep. All right. Any other questions? I'm not going to do any other charts, but any questions on the charts that we did? Yeah.
I know you got stopped out initially.
I don't remember. I've gotten in and out of a couple. I got stopped out of Elf, and I bought back in. I got stopped out of. I never bought into BQX yet. I was waiting for 7,200. I don't think. Oh no, I did get stopped out of EOS, but that was intentional. I don't remember if I got stopped out of ICX. I'd have to go back and look at my order history. I don't remember. I've been trading too much. I got stopped out of ICX or EOS on the last run up, and then bought back down here. So that was a good entry. That was by design. Normally, I don't need to go to my order book because I have charts that show like when I get stopped out and stuff. But since TradingView deletes all of my charts all the fucking time, I don't have that anymore, so I don't know. I'll have to go back and look. Let's see. Yeah, I got stuff out of ICX, okay. That was last night, actually. My ICX stop was last night. And then I got in this morning at 9:45. No, hold on. 9:55. And then I did EOS at 9:50. And then I didn't really trade the rest of the day. I'm waiting on a couple things to pan out. I'm waiting on a lot to pan out. So right now I got ELF, NULS, Quantum, ICX, EOS, and VET and BTS. Yeah, and BTS. I'm not holding any ONT. So that's what I got. ELF, NULS, Quantum, ICX, EOS, VET, and BTS. And I'm waiting on BQX to see if we'll break above the EMAs, in which case I'll enter a trade on BQX. Let me actually. Just posted it so everybody knows what I'm in now. Oh, and I got DGB too, but that's not on Binance. I was just naming what I have on Binance. DGB's on Bittrex. I don't know what that is going on here. Some sort of manipulation. People are. Well, I mean, there's low volume, but still, that's a bit excessive. All right, we're done. Nobody has any questions, right? We're good. All right, YouTube's going down. Thanks for joining.